So we've been talking a lot about runtime control. We've been talking a lot about control in production, and I want to show off a little bit of agent control and all of the incredibly interesting and amazing affordances that it provides to allow customers to control agents the place that it matters most, production. And it all starts with a config. This is a config right here. And a config is a very special, sophisticated feature flag that contains a number of different components that folks can use to build agent harnesses scalably and shareably, collaboratively across an organization. This is one config right here. You can see you have the ability to specify model provider, model, hyperparameter, all that kind of information in one spot. You also have the ability to manage things like prompts, including policies and prompt snippets. You have the ability to manage things like tools centrally with their own version control with a single click of a button, library access. And then you also have the ability to manage online judges, online evals. These are supervisor judges that are essentially always watching production traffic and reporting back when they see things like drift, accuracy-related problems, bias problems, anything else. They're completely configurable. So this is really the heart of agent control. But the coolest thing that we have is this. This is the targeting panel, which we inherit from LaunchDarkly, and it provides so much power when it comes to managing agents in production. The first here is I have the ability to serve different versions of this particular agentic harness to different destinations. I can serve a split in this particular case to my beta users, serving 25% of traffic to, let's say, 4 different model and prompts, and I can collect all that information, look at it, and then come to a strong data-informed assessment of which one of these is the best. I can then also, in pre-production, as I'm starting to work, I can make changes instantaneously without the need to ultimately redeploy the underlying application. If I want to change the agent harness that's being served in this demo over here, all I need to do is click in here, make a change to what's being served. Let's say I'll serve Haiku 4.5 in this particular instance, hit review and save, and that change is live. That change is immediately live in a matter of milliseconds. And that's super, super useful in pre-production where you want to be continuously iterating on different versions of an agent harness to ultimately get a sense of what the best possible agent for that mission is. Of course, you don't want to be naively swapping prompts and models in production. We give you an infrastructure that allows you to make really safe decisions when it comes to ultimately making a change from one agent harness to another. So the most powerful of these is the guarded release. Here, you can see right now, I'm serving this particular segment, this particular model, and this prompt. But let's say a new model has come out where I've made a change to the way that I'm thinking about this agent. Instead of just making a change and committing that in code and watching the deployment happen, what I can do is, with LaunchDarkly, stage a guarded rollout, moving from, let's say, this variation to this variation. In this case, from Haiku to Sonnet. I can then stage a progressive rollout over some destination. We'll handle all that traffic for you. And then, critically, we give you the ability to attach metrics on top of this rollout. So I can add an accuracy metric, let's say from an online evaluator, that AI judge that's constantly watching production and reporting back on the state of things as far as accuracy goes. Can add in duration, cost, even negative feedback from users, all as signals that inform this guarded rollout as it occurs over time. And if I hit this button here, this auto rollback button, a stats engine that's running underneath the scenes can actually motivate the reversal of this rollout based on detecting any statistical deviation from expectation. That's super powerful. That gives me the ability to make changes, to actually move from this version to this version, from this model to this model, without the fear that I'm going to break something immediately. You can see that I've done a rollout like this right here, and you can see that within a minute and a half, this particular system was able to detect a drop in accuracy and automatically roll back that release. But I want to show you something even more powerful, not just the ability to roll back a release, but also the ability to guardrail a problematic agent from actually creating problems with customers. So this is a really, really powerful feature, and I'll show you what this looks like here. So I'm going to serve this particular demo instance, this slightly kind of cost-cutting prompt. I have, I'm going to send, instead of serving Instead of serving Haiku 4.5, I'm going to serve Llama 4 with a very economical prompt associated with it, and I'm going to immediately make that change. Now, I'm going to ask this banking chatbot a question that a banking chatbot really shouldn't answer. And it's a question that in the field at large, we've seen a lot of high-profile incidents around. I'm going to ask a coding question to this chatbot, and I'm going to see if it's going to help me out with my CS homework. I'm going to open up this terminal on the side so we can see what's happening behind the scenes, and I'm going to ask it a leak code question. Help me reverse a linked list in Python. So it's pulled these configurations. It's pulled one configuration, and now it's pulled this configuration right here. That's ultimately making the decision about how to answer it. And rutrow, you can see that I'm getting a Python example back. We don't want that. We definitely don't want that from our banking chatbot, and our bank definitely doesn't want that for us. You can see here that the judges that have been running underneath the surface absolutely hate this answer. Dramatically out of scope, fabricated technical content, should have redirected customer to appropriate banking-related assistance. Absolutely. This is not an appropriate response back from a banking chatbot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on a guardrail. And what this guardrail is going to do is it's going to leverage LaunchDarkly's targeting infrastructure to actually escalate when it sees a problem. Now, the online judge that's running underneath the surface, if it sees a failure, it's going to bring in a more powerful model. In this case, it's going to escalate to Sonnet 4 as a fallback. I'm going to ask it the same question here. Help me reverse a linked list in Python. See, initially making a decision about the kind of question it is. Now, it's going to send that over to Llama because that's the version that I've ultimately keyed in here. But you can see that the guardrail intervened immediately. And now it's pulling in that fallback, and I get a really professional answer back from Sonnet that says, yeah, I mean, this is a banking chatbot. What are you doing? This is not the right resource for you. And moreover, I get some nice metrics back, and I get a very happy evaluator that says, good job, agent, my little agent friend, you did the right thing by refusing to answer this question. So hopefully you can see a couple things have happened here. First, if I want to bring in a new version of an agent harness, if I want to actually make a change to agents that I'm serving in production, the best way to do that is with a guarded release. And in that guarded release, you can essentially progressively roll out that new version. LaunchDarkly will handle that traffic segmentation for you. And then if the underlying stats engine sees a problem with accuracy or toxicity or latency, it'll automatically roll back that release to the prior known good version. But then you can have an additional level of safety, this time really happening at runtime, where this guardrail is actually looking at the result of live online evaluators and bringing in new harnesses based on that information that are more powerful, that are maybe more capable of handling advanced, difficult, or problematic questions. These are two really powerful runtime control tools. But I want to show you something even cooler. So you can see that there's a lot of production level signals that are going into all of this control surface. What happens if you take those signals and actually turn them into a continuous optimization machine? So I'm going to show you my favorite part of AgentControl, which is the agent optimization tool right here. I'm going to go into this particular configuration right here, and I'll show you what this means. The optimization tool right here gives you a couple different options when it comes to customizing what optimization means. You have the ability to do exploratory testing or structured expected output testing. You then essentially guide the underlying agent to make a decision around what the right outcome is, what you're trying to optimize for. Are you trying to optimize for speed? Are you trying to optimize for token spend? Are you trying to optimize for accuracy? Or all of the above? You then pick a variety of different models to iterate from. You pick the harnesses that you want to operate on top of, you set your token spend, and the SDK does the optimization work for you based on those production signals that you've taken from LaunchDarkly. And the result, honestly, is pretty amazing. I'll show you this right here. This is the result of just 3 iterations. I was able to dramatically improve accuracy. I was able to halve the net processing time of the response. And I was also able to more than half the cost of the response in terms of tokens and cost. That's super, super powerful. Imagine what that looks and feels like at scale. You can see how if you're able to leverage this type of mechanic to build agents out, especially at scale, especially from production data, how LaunchDarkly and AgentControl becomes critical infrastructure for the software factory. The software factory is all about continuous improvement based on real production signals, and we give you the ability to harness those signals and bring them into the agentic world.